Sorry. I thought I put it on airplane mode, but it is now. Okay. Good evening and welcome. I'm Joan Daoud, Chair of the Three Corners Executive Committee. I remind attendees to remain muted unless you're a designated speaker. Before we move to the main event, the presentations by grant applicants, there's something I would like to say, something I hope you will think about as we listen to the grant application finalists present their projects, and as you remember projects we have supported over the past several years. Stephanie founded the Three Corners in 2013, and it has grown impressively ever since. Last year, she recognized that she needed a break and help from others in the group. She enlisted 5 women to share the responsibilities and work of running the Three Corners. The 5 members who sit on the executive committee have responsibilities for membership, social media, grants, communications, PR, marketing, and administration. Of the original 5 members, 3 have resigned, 2 have been replaced, and we currently need someone who will be responsible for communications, marketing, PR. Our steady growth in membership has been amazing. And last year we raised more money than ever before. But we have not been able to enlist more volunteers to take on leadership roles. Without more volunteers, it is not clear that the Three Corners can continue in the same format. We're grateful for those who volunteered to sit on the grant committee or to help set up and clean up at our quarterly meetings. But we may have to hire someone to take on some of the more clerical tasks. We may even decide that Three Corners, as we have known it, is not sustainable. So I am making a very serious pitch for more volunteers. As my grandmother used to say, many hands make work light. Thank you for considering volunteering. And now I turn the meeting over to Martha Hewer, chairperson of the grant committee. Martha.
Good evening, everyone. We have an exciting evening ahead. We have 6 of our nonprofits are going to make a 5-minute presentation. And I would ask that instead of asking questions, if you would please write your question in the chat box, and I will check that periodically, and we will get those questions answered for you. As a recap, earlier in December, I sent out some information. We had 24 amazing grants this year. It was just overwhelming, the grants that we received, the grant applications. The grant committee has already awarded grants to Elizabeth Smart Foundation, Creek Valley Health Center, the Children's Museum here in St. George, Kane County Education Foundation, Moab Cultural Center, and I Care for Kids. This evening, we are going to hear from Root for Kids, the Women's Leadership Institute, the Utah Food Bank here in St. George, Cherished Families, Habitat for Humanity, and St. George Share. Again, I ask that the presenters stay to 5 minutes, and if you have a question, put it in the chat box, and we will get that answered for you. Our first presenter is Root for Kids, and we have Jamie Belliston and Courtney Carter. If you'll unmute yourself.
Hi there, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I'll introduce Courtney as well really quick so that when she can jump on, we're going to tag team a little bit here. My name is Jani Belliston. I am the Chief Development Officer for Root for Kids and have been with them, gosh, for the last 7 years. And Courtney Carter is our early Head Start coach and education manager. She's going to be more directly involved in the project that we are applying for. For those of you who are not familiar with Root for Kids, we've been around since 1993. Our fearless founder, Debbie Justice, started out of the back of her car, helping 3 kids do her thing. And now we've grown to, gosh, we're almost to 17,000 children that we have helped throughout Washington County over these last 28 years, if my math is correct. We provide early Head Start programs here, also early intervention, which helps children with disabilities or delays, developmental disabilities or delays. The Parents as Teachers program that helps parents in stressful situations. And we also operate kinder music classes out of our St. George office, as well as some childcare there. So the project that we were applying for is our a teen parent support group. From what we can tell in our research that we've done, there is not an actual regular meeting of a teen parent support group here in Washington County. There are meetings here and there, but not a regular support group. The staff that we have on board at Root for Kids, we have all kinds of staff members: family support specialists, nurses, psychologists, licensed clinical social workers, nutritionists, and speech, physical, and occupational therapists. So we feel like we have a really good staff to be able to help with a program like this. This idea came out of our trauma-informed care committee that Courtney can talk about a little bit more about how we got to this idea. But we kind of have found through our research that group connections are the most successful way to partner with and deliver parenting information for teen parents. You know, everything from helping them build their parenting skills, you know, rapport building, giving them a strong support system that is what will help keep them enrolled in a program. And the support group can cover everything from parenting topics, role playing, journal writing, infant massage. They've got all kinds of really cool ideas for the support group, but we need some seed money to help us get this program off the ground. The money would mostly be paying for some of our nursing staff to help coordinate and facilitate this group, and then also some marketing expenses. The group would meet bi-monthly, so we would provide meals. So you can see all of that in our budget. But I'm going to turn the time over to Courtney a little bit to talk about how they came up with this idea, and also help me answer some of your questions too, because she'll kind of be on the front lines with this. So go ahead, Courtney.
Thanks, Jenny. I'm Courtney, and like she said, I am the coach for the Early Head Start team, as well as the education manager. I also am a member of the Trauma Informed Care Committee, where this project was birthed. It's actually very near and dear to my heart. I was a Head Start kid as a child, and I also was a teen parent. And through my own experience, I learned that because of the stigma that exists around teen parenting, it's really hard to find support that is geared toward those teens and what their needs are, especially as we consider their development. And so one of the things that we focus on in trauma-informed care is the ACEs study, which you may or may not have heard of. It is the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, and it's been around for a couple of decades now, but we're hearing more and more about it because the research shows that there are certain predispositions that create barriers later on in life. And of course, as a teen parent, there's a lot of barriers just from being young and having a child before you become an adult. And so we are in a unique position where we already have a curriculum and trained staff. And like Johnny was saying, such a variety of staff that can support these teens. We also have a research-based curriculum that we have been using for our home visiting program, and it has a partner teen parenting curriculum as well. So we already have the training of the basics of the curriculum and how these meetings would go. There's already structure that exists for us in order to do that. And we know that teens developmentally learn most and are most influenced by their peers. So this is something that we really believe can provide unique support for teen parents in our community and help them really get on the right foot, even though they've had certain things occur to them that could potentially hold them back in life. And so, like our mission says, we want to be able to promote success one child at a time, including for our teen parents. A lot of them don't have the support of their parents, and because they are just children themselves, they don't really know where to turn. And so, just like our home visiting programs and our PAT curriculum or our PAT home visiting program, we'll cover many of the topics through pregnancy, but it will be directed toward a teen audience and more on the level of their understanding while utilizing that peer support group in order to influence the best outcomes.
That's great, Courtney. Thank you. Yeah, if you guys have any other questions for us, I meant to say too at the beginning, we're so grateful to your Giving Club and everything that you do for our community. There's a lot of overlap. When we see who you all are giving to, there's a lot of overlap there for the families that we serve and a lot of the people that we serve. So we're very grateful. So if you have any questions for either one of us, I guess put them in the chat, she said.
Yeah. If they show up in the chat, I'll come back to you. But thank you both for the great presentation. I really appreciate that. Our next one is Nina Barnes, and she is with the Women's Leadership Institute. Nina, just unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Good.
Our days aren't complete unless we've told someone at least once to, you're on mute, right?
Oh, no, that's okay. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I'm so happy. I'm kind of pitch hitting, so forgive me for that. But I am presenting on behalf of Women's Leadership Institute, and I'm really excited to present. But I also wear the other hat of Real Women Run, which you're familiar with. You have supported us in Southern Utah for 3 years. And I was part of that first initiative of bringing Real Women Run to Southern Utah. And we've had 2 annual events in St. George and 1 in Cedar City. We kind of pride ourselves on being some of the first or the pioneers of really having a conversation about women's engagements in the community, both in their career and politically, and why that's so valuable to change the culture. And so we've had great successes. Washington County just elected 7 female mayors in our county. So our women are leaning in and they're making a difference, and our voice is complementing our male partners. And so we believe, and we know the data shows us that the outcomes will be greater for all of us as we sit at the table and we collaborate. So really excited about the work we're doing. About a year ago, we started to look at some of the other nonprofits across the state. And as women's nonprofits and issues with elections and women and politics grew, we looked at some ways where we could partner. And that's really where this partnership with Real Women Run and the Women's Leadership Institute has merged. And that's why this feels new to you to be hearing from the Women's Leadership Institute. But it was founded in 2015. And Zions Bank has been a great sponsor and kind of helped foster that. It's run by the CEO, Pat Jones, who has a tremendous background across the state, both as the co-founder and a former president of Dan Jones and Associates, which are the pollsters. And she has led this business and done so much good and served in the legislature and as a senator for 14 years. 12 of those years she was in leadership positions. She also currently serves on the State Board of Regents with myself. I'm the vice chair of that group. And we have aligned on many, many projects and felt like it was critical that Women Leadership Institute and Real Women Run partnered in these missions. So the Women's Leadership Institute's mission is to elevate the stature of women's leadership in Utah by improving society's understand of the value of the diversity in leadership roles. So they do a lot of trainings. They do trainings in 2 areas. One is career development. And at this point, they have 259 past graduates of a 6 or 8 month series of a development career series for women. This year, they have 84 women in that cohort. They also do a political development series, which I happen to be in that very first cohort back in 2015. And this year they have 50 in the political development series, and that's also a 6 to 8 month series, and 306 graduates. So they just do tremendous work in taking women and in a little more in-depth cohort and series to prepare them to run. On the other side of that is what Real Women Run does. And Real Women Run is more the introductory. So we do several events across during the year, similar to what we've done in St. George, where they're one-day trainings. You come in, we get you excited, you hear from other women who've done it. We talk about the reasons, the barriers, the outcomes, and the value add to running for office. Real Women Run was founded in 2011. They have a similar mission, but it's more short-term trainings. It's really to empower women to empower women to participate fully in public life and civic leadership, either through being elected in elected office or at all levels, whether it's campaignings, appointments to boards or commissions, participating in campaigns, or just engaging in the political process. So you can see how these two nonprofits really complement each other. And so us coming together for our event this year is right in line with that. Our event was scheduled for April, and I understand that's what you have on the grant. We, because of COVID and some logistics, are hoping to do, we have it scheduled, everything's scheduled, our program's scheduled to do it on October 21st, and we will do it at Dixie State, and we are anticipating 50 to 75 women, and we will do a training. We will have a few women from Salt Lake come down, and then we will use a lot of our own local men, allies, men and women in the training to really try to nudge and educate and inspire women in Southern Utah to get engaged. We hope to have people participate from Richfield to Cedar, here to Kanab, both as participants and attendees. And we hope to inspire as we have for the last couple of years. And we have appreciated your partnership for the last couple of years. And we hope to use this again this year to really, we're planning for an event that's probably twice as big and has much greater, broader Southern Utah outreach than we have in the past. So with that, I would entertain any questions.
Nina, thank you so much. I have a question, and I may be mistaken. I was under the impression that the training in Southern Utah would coincide with the Symetra golf tournament.
Yes.
Am I incorrect in that?
No, you are not incorrect. That has been our plan for the last
Okay.
year. We have
Would
had
you-
to, yes,
Would you explain to the ladies a little bit? I mean, that's
Yes.
a LPGA event. And
it is.
so if you would explain just a little bit about that.
So, yes, we had planned our event for last October, and that's why we're here presenting, is because we weren't able to expedite and get that delivered through COVID. And
Okay.
it was really tricky. We were magnified because we were going to be on campus, and they have their own level of safety protocols. And so we had to bump it, which just about killed all of us who were volunteering and participating in this planning. So the first initial plan was to throw that right in with the LG, you said it, Martha.
Oh, LPGA.
Thank you. On April 21st, and it just felt like a really great landing spot for that. But as they have come in with their scheduling and their restrictions, our event could go in there, but it would just be slid into a small time spot
okay.
and not be able to give us the
Okay.
time we need for the women to really dive in. An hour or two training is just not sufficient, especially because we didn't have one last year. And so we just made the decision that we would rather bump it to October, like we historically have done it in October, and that we will do a full day training and it will be independent. So Martha, we were sure disappointed.
Well, no, that's fine. I
Because
just
that's such
want-
a big thing to come to Southern Utah, but it also is a big business. And there's a lot of strings that come attached to that, and commitments and sponsorships. And we weren't going to be able to get the outcomes we wanted from the event.
No, that's fine. Thank you so much, Nina. Our next presenter is Linda Trujillo and Marsha Watson with the Utah Food Bank here in St. George.
Hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Linda Trujillo. I don't know if you can
Linda-
see me. You can't see me.
No, we can't see you.
And I'm not exactly sure how to make you see me. So not sure what to do here.
Um,
What do you need to do on this,
I-
Marsha?
I don't, but I can attest it's Marsha Watson, and I can attest Linda's right here.
okay,
you
that's
okay with
fine. I also don't know. I apologize.
You know, I
But go
usually-
ahead. Go ahead, Linda. That's fine.
I usually can get my face on there, but for some reason, I just want to be a bubble person today, I guess. So it looks like there's a question for the people, for the woman that was before me. Did you want to take that?
Okay. We'll take that at the end, Linda. You go ahead after you're finished.
Okay, well, I'd like to thank you, everyone, for having us here. And thank you, Martha, and the members of Three Corners Women's Giving Circle for the opportunity to request funding and to share with you some information about our programs, about food insecurity, and about how poverty and hunger affect women, teens, children, and about our program. Utah Food Bank has been around for over 100 years and has been physically in St. George for 11 years. Prior to that, we had just serviced via trailers or trucks or however we could get down here. So we are here now. We've been here 11 years and we love it here. I think many of you already know a bit about our mobile program from either reading the grant or you may have volunteered, either here in our warehouse or at one of our sites. But I'd like to touch a little on how poverty and childhood hunger affects our clients.
Linda,
Yes.
could I really apologize for interrupting. Somebody chimed in and said, if you would click on the video icon on the top of your iPad, we would be able to see you.
Okay, I have Zoom, I have Leave, and I have a voice thing.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead. Go ahead. That's fine.
I'm so sorry. I wish I knew how to do this better.
No, that's
I don't
fine. I
have anything like
apologize for
that.
interrupting.
That's quite all right. Our distributions are so much more than simply handing out food. Food is not necessarily the cure-all to poverty, but it's really an area where we can begin to break the cycle. Food poverty is the inability of individuals and households to secure an adequate and nutritious diet. There's many factors to play into this food poverty, either money, transportation, education, living conditions, and of many of us know, everyday life on a limited budget. In America, women are 35% more likely to live in extreme poverty than men will, with single mothers facing the highest at risk. Women are vulnerable when coping with hunger. This is risky to their own health and can feed the cycle of food poverty. Moms skip meals so their children can have enough to eat. Young girls seeing what their mothers do, then instinctively tend to do the same for other family members. Then moms and daughters don't have enough nutrition and the cycle continues. We've seen this in the schools here in Southern Utah. Caretaking responsibilities may also fall on these girls, needing to care for their siblings or older family members, sometimes not allowing them to regularly attend school or to get school-provided breakfast or lunches, all contributing to the girl's needs, and she will probably grow up vulnerable as well, repeating the cycle. We have seen this and received information from some of the high schools that this happens, particularly with the schools like Mill Creek Alternative School. When we look at childhood hunger and its impact on schools, its impact on the children, their school grades, their attendance, their education, likelihood of graduating, all of those factors come into play. There's also stress that comes from living with hunger. The stress is difficult for children to understand and manage. Living under the stress is a key cause of violent or aggressive childhood behavior. When you look at the kids, they're hangry. I think we've all heard of that term. A lot of them are hangry. And getting food to these children is a huge ingredient to the success of children. Our mobile food program addresses these needs in a way that's not associated with embarrassment or shame. The food is available for any child that is hungry. Weekend backpack programs will send food home for a child for the weekend. The child instinctively shares with their mom, their dad, sister, brother, because they want to share. This lessens the amount of food that the child has and probably is gone by Friday evening. Our mobile school program gives each child a bag. Each bag usually has 8 to 12 items in it, and there are full-size items, items the child can share with their family. So they're full-size boxes of cereal, regular-sized boxes of crackers, bottles of peanut butter, bags of rice, regular-sized cans of fruit, tuna, and so on. Volunteers will bag this product in our warehouse, and then we ship it out each month to the schools. And we have found also that bringing home a bag of groceries, the child has such a sense of pride. He or she can now contribute to the family in a way that they can understand. I always tell a story about a little girl at Washington Elementary School that I encountered when we first started this program in Southern Utah. We were handing out bags of apples and the volunteers were bagging them up. She was so excited. She turned to her mom and she said, "Look, Mom, we're going to get some apples. Do you think I'll get an apple?" I turned to her and I answered her by saying, "You're going to get a whole bag of apples." She turned to her mom and she said, "Wow, I don't have to share my apple. I'll get the whole thing." And we never get whole apples. Her mother just smiled at her. Makes you wonder why she didn't get whole apples. Was she sharing it with her mother because her mother wanted her to? Or was she sharing it so that everybody could get some? Hunger is a silent disease, and that's why our mobile school program is so important. When COVID hit, we weren't sure what we were going to do with this program because we used to distribute it in a different way than what was indicated in our grant. We would invite parents to come with the children, and or the children could come by themselves. They'd walk up to a table and pick out the items and put them in the bags themselves. Then COVID hit. But where there was a will, there's a way. But the teachers of Southern Utah were so awesome. In Washington, Iron, and Garfield counties, thought the program was so valuable to the children that most schools were willing to distribute the product themselves with their family, friends, and anyone else who would help, because not only were we not able to go into the schools, the volunteers were not able to go in either. And they're still distributing the bags that way. With all the teachers in this county, it was just amazing to see. It's so amazing. So we appreciate them for carrying in the support of our children. Again, I'd like to thank you for the interest that you have in our program, and thank you for all that you do for our community. And I'd like to answer any questions now. And sorry you can't see me.
Linda, we do have a question. How many of the families that you feed do you think are single moms?
We don't have demographics on that.
Okay.
And it's something because we don't ask the children, are you from a single family? We ask them simply, how many kids are in your family? And that's about it.
So you don't divide it out by how many women and girls there are. It would just be a family situation.
It's a family, right.
Okay.
A lot of times the children don't know the dynamics. A lot of times there's multiple people living in the home. And we don't want to ask the children to go into that detail with their family.
Okay, because you're mostly dealing with children themselves.
Yes, we're dealing with the children. We deal with very few adults at this point because of COVID.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I didn't realize that. Thank you very much. Thank you for your great presentation. All of us do appreciate that, and for all that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I need to go back to Root for Kids for a moment, please. I see that you answered one question, and I appreciate that. We have another one. What do you anticipate will be the full cost of your program? For example, your grant asked for, I apologize, $8,000. How much of that what percentage will that cover on this program that you're presenting?
That $8,000 will get us through 2022. The way that we've structured the hours for the nursing
Right.
staff. Root for Kids is bringing a lot to the table too. We're putting in some of our own, where we can, staff hours, donating the building, all of that kind of stuff. We're hoping that with a grant that's from, a local group like this, that we can get some support from a couple of other foundations up north that can help us continue it and sustain it into the future. So,
Right. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
thank you.
So our next presenter is Stacy Fletcher with an organization called St. George Share. And Stacy, if you would just unmute yourself.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me set my little timer here. My name is Stacy Fletcher. I'm with St. George Share. We are a small organization compared to a lot of y'all, but we're here doing our best. And so I'll tell you a little bit about, I have some stuff I'm hoping you can see. This is a picture. I'll tell you how I got involved in this. This is my little baby. His name is Benjamin. He was stillborn full term in 2006. And this is he's kind of what led us on this whole journey with Share. I had a miscarriage in 2005 when I was 10 weeks along, and I left the hospital completely empty-handed, and no one really, it became a medical procedure at that point, and I really didn't have a lot of follow-up. A year later, we lost our son full term, stillbirth. We didn't ever find out why. And the next few years just became survival for us, really. We adopted 2 daughters right after, but the grief and the sadness really never leaves, and you never overcome losing a child. And so it was about 6 years ago, I volunteered with a group in Salt Lake. They have a Share Parents organization as well, and I started volunteering with them. And since then, in that 6 years, I volunteer with the Salt Lake group. I opened Central Utah to its own Share chapter. I volunteer with the Cedar City group. And then we have since opened our own chapter here in St. George to help families during pregnancy and infant loss. So what we do is we cover a lot of different things. I can kind of show you what we do. We do these little miscarriage packets. They come with a blanket, a little tiny hat, a little tiny diaper, a little angel necklace pendant, and some information about Share and miscarriages. And we do these kits throughout the community. So we do volunteer groups and service groups where large numbers of women will come together. We'll set up a table to do the angel necklace pendants. Someone will cut out diapers, someone will do hats, someone will do blankets. We assemble them all, and we give these to women who have early losses. It's kind of our focus, because you leave empty-handed and you really have nothing to say that you were pregnant or lost a baby. So just to have something in hand, we do about 500 or 600 of these a year, and we are barely scratching the surface of what we could do. So the little angel necklace pendants, these are so hard for you to see. We give about 1,000 of those a year, because anyone that has a loss, I ask them, how many losses did you have? And I give them one for each baby. And so I want them to be able to have some visual representation of their baby. Another thing that we do is we have groups that make these little caskets for miscarriages. I don't know if you can see, they're just itty bitty. They have a little pillow, and they're so sweet for families that have an early loss. So those are amazing. The shop groups, and I have a gentleman here in town that makes those. We take wedding dresses, and we have a group that makes little burial outfits out of these wedding dresses, down to little itty bitty outfits for the really early losses. So we do those as well. We do mortuary visits, and at the mortuary, I do bereavement photography, help the family dress their baby. We have groups that donate, like this is a little sibling blanket. So I give it to the sibling, we'll wrap the baby in it. They can have a picture taken with their sibling, and then they get to keep the blanket. So when they get sad, it's tied to memory with their sibling. So these are amazing. And then we do hand and feet molds. I don't know if you can even see these. These are a little tiny foot. Here's a little bigger hand. Can you even see these? I don't know if you can see them.
No, it's fine.
Here's an itty bitty foot. I think this baby was about 14 weeks gestation, little itty bitty foot. And then we do face molds as well as little baby face molds. So the molds are a big expense that we do. So lots of things that we work on. We do support meetings and memorial events throughout the year. We try to do something every month. COVID has kind of sidetracked that. But the money that we are looking for would help so much with these service events. Everything that we do, we have to charge the families in order to have the service events. So when we do a Christmas tree, you know, we offer ornaments and people help, they purchase ornaments, or we do a lantern lighting ceremony on October 16th. They have to purchase a lantern. So we hope to be able to not have to charge these families to participate and work through their own grief. We run this out of my house. So storage is an issue. I have a Christmas tree in my car as we speak. So storage is always an issue for us, like where to keep everything. People are super generous to donate a lot of fabric, have a lot of fabric. So just storing it is, you know, things like that take over quickly. So anyway, it's a horrible club to belong to, with the most wonderful people that you'll ever meet. And so it has changed our life. And Share is run by parents. It's parents groups who have lost babies. We're all parents who have lost babies that volunteer. And so like Root for Kids was saying, that peer-to-peer support is so important when you're helping these families, to talk to a family that's been through it as well. So, but this is kind of how we parent our little angel babies, is we help other families and we do stuff in their name and we try to honor them that way. So does that make sense? I think
That's great. Thank you so much.
I
do
do have
have
a couple questions. Yeah.
I have a couple questions. One is, do you and the people that you work with, do you work with therapists and professionals?
I do have a therapist that will come and attend our group. They're really good. I've done a lot of grief training and I teach a lot of grief workshops myself, just because I've researched it so much. And I'm trying to hopefully get a connection with the hospital here in St. George to feed together with the groups. A lot of therapists in town do find us and recommend their clients to us. So,
Right. So we have, how many clients do you serve in a year?
that's a hard number. Like I said, we probably give away 500 or 600 of the miscarriage gifts. They're in all of the doctor's offices. They're at the surgical center. They're at the hospital. I don't know how many they give out. We have them at the St. George Library in a little box to donate, and I advertise that quite a bit. We go through a lot of the miscarriage gifts. Like I said, probably 1,000 of the necklace pendants. Mortuary visits, I would say 15 to 20 a year just at the mortuaries that we do. And then the support meetings. I mean, we have parents who have new losses and parents who have lost 20 years ago that still come. The interesting thing to me, I was mentioning, is we do a lot of these events, service events, and we were at Sun River, and a lot of our miscarriage gifts have gone to older women who lost babies 30, 40, 50 years ago and never received anything. So it's been so amazing to watch the healing that's taken place with them, because they never received anything. They've made little memorials. Just to see a group of older ladies sitting down in tears because it's the first time they've talked about their babies or had anything in their hands to represent their own loss. So.
And then my last question is, how large is your group? How many people do you work with?
So I'm the president. I have a vice president, a secretary. We have a treasurer. I have a lady, she calls herself the fabric goddess. She helps with all, because when I sew, I swear. So they've taken that whole thing away from me, which is great. But so we have a core group of parents. My husband's really involved. And then our support meetings, we've had 150 people show up before. We've had one person show up before. And so it just depends, like on the holidays or what we're doing. The support meetings really flex and vary on how many people come. So it's pretty amazing though, the memorial events that we do, how many people come.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
I was just asked a question. What a gift to women and family. Okay, I think it's a statement. I'm sorry. I apologize. I totally apologize. So
someone just asked, how do your clients find out about Share? So if they go to, if their baby is big enough to go to a local mortuary, the mortuaries, we work with all the mortuaries. It seems like Bob McMillan gets most of the babies here in town. And so we have a great relationship with Bob. The mortuaries will hear about us. I'm friends with several counselors, midwives, and actually Facebook. If someone loses a baby on the Moms Helping Moms St. George page, I get tagged about 17 times. So the word is out. So that's amazing.
Well, thank you.
We try to get them some support, but Facebook's been a great resource. I think that's where moms reach out. So
wonderful. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Welcome.
Thank you. I need to jump back to Linda Trujillo and the food bank for a moment.
Sure.
And Linda, we're being asked a question about another organization, Neighborhood Connection.
Yes.
And
Neighborhood Connection.
the question is,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
How is the food bank different from Neighborhood Connection?
Neighborhood Connection is a backpack program. That program sends out individual units with the children to go home over a weekend. So there's individual little containers of cereal, individual applesauces, individual snacks, like a little granola bar, things like that, that will last through the weekend. Well, it's supposed to last through the weekend. And that's where I had indicated that the kids want to share with their family. So they'll go home, and many times that doesn't even last through a Friday afternoon, that the kids are eating on the way home. And that's why we want to give full containers, full package sizes, so the kids can bring that home, share with the family, and everyone can eat.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Our next presenter is Shirley Draper with Cherished Families. And Shirley, if you'll just unmute yourself, please.
Okay, thank you, Martha. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, all right. I've had some issues with my camera and microphone the last couple of days, so hopefully I'll be here.
You're fine.
So first, I just wanted to say how honored I am to be here tonight and be selected as a finalist for this amazing grant. And as I'm looking at your faces, it's not lost on me that I'm the recipient of the kind of leadership mentoring that this grant targets, and for most of the women here, and even the other grant applicants. So I'm really grateful for that mentoring and the inclusion that I've received from all of you, and thank you from my heart. So about this proposal, Cherished Families does a lot of work that imposes a high emotional labor on our team. And if you're not familiar with that term, it's an unpaid, mostly invisible work done by people to address the needs or demands of other people, both in the workplace and in social and domestic situations. And as women, we are socialized to be self-sacrificing, particularly in highly patriarchal structures like the communities most of my employees come from. And let's just be honest, Utah in general, society tells us it's virtuous to serve others to the point of breakdown. I'm actually a prime example of how harmful that narrative is. This year I was treated for my second primary cancer. So learning how to attenuate those psychological demands that I inherited through my upbringing with better self-care so that I don't kill myself doing this really important work is going to be my lifelong struggle. And I know that. And on another note, the medication I'm on for that makes my mouth really dry. So I'll be taking sips of water intermittently here. But the truth is that as a society, we need to start caring about the carers, the people who give care. We need to make sure that the people who want to serve others retain the ability to do so without burning out. So Cherished Family serves a population that has experienced high levels of trauma, and most of our employees share this history. And encountering the stories of other people who had that trauma triggers our own trauma, causing secondary traumatic stress, as I noted in our application. So it can be very expensive to train our advocates, and it's completely tragic when we lose one to those triggers when they've burned out from that stress. Now, I provided a lot of research and data in the application, so I'm not going to go over all of that here again in the interest of time. But we want to be good stewards of our team, and we want to provide the care that alleviates that stress so our employees can move forward. And our aim is threefold with this program. We want to improve the lives of our employees and keep them healthy. We want to prevent burnout and increase staff retention. And we want to model good self-care and dismantle the counterproductive socialization that we've all received. This would benefit our employees physically, emotionally, and financially, and give them the confidence to step into leadership. I will say that through our employment, we've mentored team members into becoming a mayor, a city councilwoman, a city council candidate who's going to go into office next year, the first woman on the Colorado City Airport Board, a suicide prevention trainer, and a mental health therapist. I am very, very proud of the amount of leadership training we've been able to do for our team, but I really want to keep that team close and not have to retrain. We also have a tool to measure the impact of secondary traumatic stress and whether the self-care program is working. So we're not just relying on perceptions and feelings in the moment of inquiry. We've created a list of approved items or activities that have been shown to increase well-being, and we have a journal that tracks activity to correlate with the ProQual that I shared with you, so that we can actively monitor whether the self-care item that our staff has chosen is actually working for that staff member, or if they need to try a different modality. We can also closely monitor the stress and burnout levels and ensure that we are managing our caseloads appropriately. So this program wouldn't just benefit my team, it would also benefit the hundreds of girls and women that we serve with our crime victim advocacy, our wraparound support, or any of the hundreds of services that we provide. Our clients would experience consistent services from the advocate that they've come to trust, because we won't have the turnover from the burnout. And they'd also have a positive peer model who demonstrates the benefits of self-care, employment advancement, and educational attainment. So through this peer mentoring, the entire community benefits, as our clients are really the backbone of the communities that we serve. And for that reason, I believe that this program supports all of the areas of the Three Corners mission with safety, health, education, economic advancement, leadership, and personal development. And I am finished, so I'm happy to take questions.
Shirley, everyone might not be aware of the community that you serve. So if you would just touch on that just for a moment, and then just real quick, are most of the people, your employees, women, or do you employ men also?
So yes, all of my employees have been women up until just this week. I believe we have one man coming aboard, but all the rest of our employees are women. And the communities that we serve are anyone who was raised in or has had contact with polygamist communities or families statewide. My office and our building, our resource center, are all out in the Colorado City area.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. And I'm just checking. Okay, we're good. Our last presenter is Krista Longhurst with Habitat for Humanity.
Thanks everyone for having us here tonight. So my name is Krista. I'm the Director of Community Involvement for Habitat for Humanity. And this is Shannon. She is our newest homeowner. So I know a lot of you are familiar with what Habitat does, but just as a refresher, we are a nonprofit that advocates for and then we build affordable housing here in Southern Utah. We have now built 25 homes in the area. At the same time, we've been advocating at federal, state, and local levels for affordable housing to be a priority. I think we've all seen how much house prices have jumped in the last year. In Washington County alone, prices have jumped 33%, and our average house price is now $540,000. That is so far out of reach for so many families. Our teachers, our nurses, our first responders cannot afford to live here. At Habitat, we really believe that housing should only cost 30% of your income. Once you pass that percentage, you have to start making really difficult choices about paying your rent or affording healthcare or healthy foods or extracurricular activities for your kids. And when you have a single income earner in the house, it's next to impossible. So that's where we're trying to make a difference. As I said, we advocate for affordable housing, but we also build houses. Our homeowners pay 30% of their income and no interest so that they can take care of their kids. They can go back to school and they can just be amazing members of the community. So in the last 24 years, more than half of the homes we have built have been for single moms and their children, because it's almost impossible for them to afford housing without help. So the house that we just built, that we applied for this grant for, is for Shannon and her family. A little bit of backstory: Shannon was working 2 jobs, away from her kids a lot of the time. I might cry, sorry, just to make ends meet. She was saving money, trying to apply for traditional loans, but she could not get out of her small water damaged apartment. It was just always out of reach. So in the last year, Habitat has built her an amazing 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in Hurricane, and she's going to be able to move in just about 2 weeks. So once she starts paying that mortgage, that will go into a revolving fund so that we can build more houses and help more families. So one of the things about this house that we built is it's on the Confluence Park Gorge. She has a beautiful view, but it is a bit unsafe for small children. So to create a safe place for her kids to play, we built a 6-foot tall, 264-foot long fence to make sure that Tanner and Adeline can be outside without Shannon having to constantly worry. Since this is not something we would normally do on a build, it has added about $7,500 to our budget. So we have a very simple ask. It's help us pay for this fence so that we can continue to build homes for those that need our help. I'd like to take just a second and let Shannon talk about what this house has meant for her.
I was working 7 days a week because it was all I could do to try to better. Habitat has offered me the opportunity to give my kids a place to feel safe and to call home. I appreciate the opportunity to put in the work and to make it my own. Yeah, I couldn't have reached it without them.
Shannon, you're fine. You're fine.
I look forward to the hope this offers me to be able to do more. I can dream about going back to school because it can happen.
So by putting this fence up, it will mean your children can play outside. Is that okay?
Yeah,
great.
It is right on the gorge, and it is a 30-foot, 40-foot drop from her backyard. The fence is already installed. We paid for it. It just wasn't something that we necessarily can afford. But
Sure.
you know, we had to do what we had to do to make sure that it's safe and good for her kids to have a place to play outside. That should be a right.
Oh, I agree. Thank you. That was great. I want to thank you. I don't see any questions for you. If something pops up in the next couple of minutes, if not, I'll contact you tomorrow or something. Okay. Thanks so much. It looks as though someone asked a question of Cherished Families, and Shirley has answered it. And the grant is a request for a trauma stewardship program that will support self-care activities and items for our advocates and frontline workers. And I hope that answers your question. I want to thank all of you, wonderful presentations, and I know everyone appreciates all that you put into this. So what will happen next is I am going to send out the voting form. I will do that by the end of this week. And if you've been a part of Three Corners Giving Circle in the past, it works the same as it always has. You will rank the 6 nonprofits, and then the grant committee will meet towards the end of January. And then we will award the grants. We'll go from there. So I think that covers everything. And if you have any questions, most of you know how to contact me, but you can always email to the Three Corners website, Gmail, sorry, and I'll get that question. So I think we're good. I did get a question about how the other grants were awarded, and we received 24 grant applications, and the grant committee read through all of them and ranked them. And we took the 6 that had the highest rankings, which means that their grant applications fulfilled all of the evaluation questions. And those 6 grantees have already been awarded their money. I apologize. I thought I turned my phone off, people. I'm very sorry. And so this next 6 we will vote on. So again, I will send out the voting form by the end of the week, and you will have until January 23rd to vote, and please vote. And again, this presentation was recorded, and Joan will send out that link as soon as we get it. So thank you all, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.